This is Spare Time Repair, and this is a damaged drawer front. I haven't made a video for a few weeks, and perhaps you thought I was working on something big, that I was going to come back with a real doozy of a video, and instead it's this. I can only apologise, but I was around my sister's yesterday and fixing some shelves for one of my nephews, and I noticed that the drawer front of his desk was sort of lying on the floor. And when I turned it over, I saw this damage. It's the bottom drawer, hence this caster on it. And it's supposed to take the weight of the drawer, but there wasn't anything particularly heavy in the drawer. And the problem was that the caster is creating resistance to opening the drawer because it's dragging on the carpet. And that was putting pressure on the fixings, and it's classic flat pack furniture. It uses these pins which lock with these cam locks and attach to the sides of the drawer. So in order to repair this, I need to put some filler in these holes so that they'll accept the pins again, which I'm planning to do with super glue and baking soda. But the problem I have is that the position needs to be very precise. Obviously, because the holes in the sides of the drawers are already pre-existing. These other holes, incidentally, are just for wooden dowels and just provide additional support. So I need to try to mark these holes, because I think I'm going to lose the position of them when I fill them. Remove all this other excess material that can't be saved, and try to re-drill the holes in exactly the same place so that they're ready to refit. And then I'll try to fill up the remainder and maybe paint it white, even though it's the back side of the drawer and you don't really see it. So first let's remove this because it's really getting in the way. Could fill those holes as well. Although with the drawer base in, you're never going to see them. So I think first I need to remove some of this surplus material. This one's been wrenched out so far that the material is actually standing proud of the door. So first I think I'm going to measure precisely so that I can remark it afterwards. Or could I just do a template? I could do both. So I'm just going to make this one flush by removing some of this material. Trying to make sure I can still see the position of the original hole. Now what I'm going to do is lay this tracing paper over. I can use this cutout for the drawer base to align it to. If I align it with this edge, then I know it's going to be back in the same place, and I can just trim this edge off. That looks pretty good. Now I can see exactly where the holes were. But I'm also going to measure them out just in case, using a combination square. Right, so this edge now aligns with the center of all these holes. I mean, really, I could have just used these as a reference, couldn't I? But I don't know, why not overcomplicate things? And it should correspond on this side as well. which it does. If I put a line here where the centre of the hole is this way, and hopefully I can't go wrong. And these lines should line up, which they don't. I think I was a bit low with that one. So I'm going by that one. The top ones line up. Hopefully you can see going across there, they both line up. So now I know I'm not going to lose my hole position. I'll start doing some filling. Just need to remove any loose material. Now, 2-pack wood filler would have been a better solution to this probably, but I don't have any of that. So you're probably aware that when you mix super glue with bicarbonate of soda, it goes rock hard, produces a sort of catalyst reaction, and it's perfectly hard enough to drill into and accept a fixing. So the key to doing it is to do it in layers, not just try and do it all at once. So I'm hoping I've got enough glue. I'm just going to put in a small amount. It's quite viscous. The other advantage to this is that it dries almost instantly, within a couple of seconds. So you can build up the layers very quickly indeed. You can see that's already very hard. As long as I can get a fixing in there, I can do the rest with a filler, which will also help turn the area white again. I just want to focus on this central area where the pin's going to screw into. So that's what I'm going to be drilling. So I think I'm happy with that one. And I'll just repeat the process. Super glue comes in different viscosities, and I find this is the best for this sort of thing. It's not super thin, but it's not the gel that you can get either. It just provides enough sort of surface tension that you can add the baking soda to it. This is probably the worst one. It's the one that's gone the deepest. If you put too much baking soda in and it goes too deep, then when you add the glue, it kind of dries before it's able to wick down to the bottom, and then you end up with a pocket of baking soda that hasn't been hardened. So that's why it's important to do it in sort of small layers. This is also strengthening the surrounding areas rather than just filling the hole. See, if I hadn't marked the hole positions, I'd just have no idea where to drill now. I should probably have done this with something sacrificial like a toothpick, because now I've got to clean all this off my spudger. There's a couple of areas that are proud. They've just come up a bit too high, so I'm going to sand those back and then apply the filler, and then I'll have to leave it for a few hours and then I can re-drill. And because the super glue and baking soda dries quite rough, it's a good key for the filler. Just using an old-fashioned putty knife. It's been nicely worn in. Again, wood filler would have been better than this sort of all-purpose filler, but this is the back side of the drawer that you're never really going to see. Well, I feel that's pretty good. I think this dries fairly quickly, so I'll come back to it in a couple of hours and see how it looks. I've decided I'm not going to fill these holes that were for the casters. A, because you're not ever going to see them, and B, there's a possibility you might want to refix it at a later date. So yeah, I'm just going to leave them. Well, I didn't intend to leave it so long, but it's been a couple of days for various reasons. So the filler is well and truly dry now, and I'm going to rub it down. I've got this sanding block and a bit of wet and dry. I'm not going to do it here because it's going to be very messy and you don't need to see me rubbing down filler. So I will come back when that's done and then we will drill the holes. Right, so that's all rubbed down and looking pretty good. I took care not to rub away my pencil marks, and I'm going to use those now to relocate the holes. Okay, I'm sorry if there's big focusing issues in this video. It's because it's trying to focus on white. Right, so now I can compare the holes with the marks I've made with the template. That one's looking a bit off. Those two are pretty much spot on. That's a bit of a worry. Well, going by the centre of these holes, and I think they were all centred, I think my two lines here are off for some reason. Because that's definitely not the centre of that hole. It's more like there, which would make my more in line with my original template. I mean, I don't know how I've messed this up so badly when it was the easiest part of this job. Let's see if it corresponds with the template now. Yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, I'm going for it. I think it's close enough that it's not going to cause a problem. But when I drill the holes, I do need to make sure they are completely upright, because if these pins go in slightly at an angle, they're not going to marry with the other holes. So what I'm going to do is use this drill guide. It just ensures that it's got enough depth to it that it ensures the drill is going in perpendicular to the surface. But first I need to establish what size drill I need. It's going to have to be pretty close because I don't think there's going to be a lot of give in the super glue and baking powder mix. I'm going to try this one. It's labelled as a 5, but I think it's going to just give me enough with the threads. I've got it on driver mode rather than drill mode because I want to take it slowly. Oh, and I need to make sure I don't drill too deep as well. That's the first one. I think I'm happy with that. How have I screwed this up so badly? This one's a mile off. I think the guide must have moved while I was drilling, because it's not even on the mark. It's just... Okay, off camera I've tried to re-drill that hole slightly closer to where it should be. It's not easy when there's an existing hole because it just keeps wanting to pull the drill into the hole that's already there. Let's see if these actually screw in or not. This is rapidly turning into a how not to do something video. All of this is breaking away while I screw it up. I mean, it's solid, but look at this. It's an absolute disaster. This one's certainly not going to work. Yep, that one's not even... This is pretty much an unmitigated disaster. Right, these two, not bad. Very solid. They're not going to come out. This one's in the perfect position. This one's slightly off, but probably okay. These two, absolutely terrible. This one won't even thread in, and it's miles off where it should be. This one is also not where it should be. I'm going to have to drill a bigger hole and start again. I don't think it works. The super glue and baking soda was the wrong solution. I think it had to be 2-pack wood filler. It's quite hard to drill into the super glue. That may have caused the drill to wander, but it's no excuse. I've absolutely screwed this up. Okay, I've drilled out the holes again. I'm definitely not going to use super glue this time, so I think I'm going to try some kitchen roll soaked in PVA glue, and hopefully that will dry hard enough to take one of these, but soft enough to drill easily. I'm not even convinced this is going to work. Will it dry right down at the bottom? Will it be strong enough? I can't tell you how disappointed I am about this. It's the following day and the glue and kitchen roll didn't work. Of course it didn't work. I just did it out of lazy desperation, I think. It's soft, it's spongy, there's no way it's going to hold a fixing. So I think I was just so annoyed with what I'd done. I was just looking for a quick win, and this wasn't it. So I'm going to have to dig it out, and although I should really be using 2-pack wood filler, I am going to return to the glue and baking soda because it did work on this side. I think if I can ensure that I drill in the right place, then it's going to be good enough. And to be honest, I'm just sick of this now. I am using a clear ruler this time, so I can see exactly where the centre of the holes are. I'm going to start with a much thinner drill bit just to get the hole started, and then hopefully it'll be easier. And I'm not going to use the drill guide initially. I think it's good enough. Hopefully the larger drill will follow the path. You know what I've done, don't you? Oh, and I need to make sure I don't drill too deep as well. You know exactly what I've done. Consolation is the holes are in the right place. I think they're going to be secure. When I was drilling the first hole, I thought, oh, I haven't put a bit of tape on the drill bit to ensure I don't drill too deep. I just thought, it'll be fine. I mean, it's not antique furniture. It can be hidden, but wow, what a screw up. They are very solid. That's about all I can say. Very, very solid. There wasn't a lot to play with in the depth. Right, I've removed all the pins again so that I can fill these edges a bit better. Just rubbing out the pencil marks. Well, that's it. That's all I can do. I wouldn't say they're absolutely square, but I think you get a degree of tolerance with the hole in the cam fasteners. Another day has passed and I'm going to use this pretty fine P400 sandpaper to very gently rub this down. Well, obviously I'll be touching that up with some paint. Hopefully it won't be too noticeable. I've got some old water-based white paint, acrylic, and I'm going to apply it with this sponge very gently because I think that'll give a better finish than a brush. This stuff dries really quickly, so a bit like the super glue, you can very quickly give it another coat. I think that's already looking a lot better. Well, you get the idea, so I will come back when it's done. Well, there we are. It's not too noticeable. This is obviously going to be largely hidden by the drawer sides, and my terrible mistake on the front is probably not going to be seen in most conditions. So that was a masterclass in how not to repair flat pack furniture, but maybe you've learned something from my mistakes. I know I have. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.